As of recent, there's been a few studies, some research that have focused on employees and disclosing their diagnosis of MS at work. Specifically, I'm talking about MS, but it can also include other people with diseases and disabilities. And you know, they all start with the whole notion that disclosing is a very complex decision, and so a study done out of Australia in 2012 looked at 673 individuals living with MS, and overall, it was the earlier they disclosed, the longer they stayed employed. And that included controlling for how severe the disability was, you know, because people with MS can have a more milder form or can be have a larger physical disability. And so that was interesting research to come out as of late, because, you know, there hasn't been research looking at disclosure in the workplace and its effects on how long a person remains employed. And so I think this is an important piece of research to come out. I think, you know, we need scientific empirical studies to look at this area. You know, you hear from people that their healthcare professionals have told them that absolutely don't disclose until you absolutely have to, because you know, you can't maintain the workload or some other reason. And so I think that's an important thing to show the medical community, that actually there are some studies pointing to the reason it's important to disclose and disclose early, and that can lead to longer employment. Another study looked at specific metrics, some psychosocial metrics in terms of cognitive impairment and physical disability, and they too saw that disclosure did lead to job retention, staying longer and employed. And a further study actually looked at people who actually had disclosed and some of those psychosocial supports that were in place after they disclosed. And that really showed that people need a psychologically safe workplace. The issues of stigma and labeling and discrimination were concerns for people. And so in order to have and remain working, people needed a real safe and inclusive working environment. That culture needed to ensure that they felt safe and after they disclosed. So that's what some of the research, you know, it's early. There is a piece of research here in Alberta, at the University of Alberta, that's looking at this issue around disclosure and some of the lessons and successes they learned. So I think as that research becomes, gets underway in the results, it'll be interesting to hear what's happening in an Alberta context, because these other studies were not in Alberta context. But I think it's an important discussion, and I think it's good that research is moving us forward in this whole issue of disclosure.